Where is she? I know. She's scary. When I taught school, I did write in competition.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It is Friday, November 7, 2025. You know what that means? It's time for Fishtrap Fireside. Yeah, that's right. Fishtrap Fireside is our monthly reading series for local and regional writers to share their work, and each month offers what I think is cool is a look at what people who live here and around here are thinking about and writing down. And a special welcome to all of you who maybe have never come to Fishtrap Fireside before. We're glad to have you here. Some folks who haven't been here for a while, it's great to have you back. And all of you folks watching out there at fishtrap.org or on Fishtrap's YouTube channel, we're happy to have you too. Here's how Fireside works. Every month we have 3 featured readers. This month was pretty exciting. Our first reader started, the first couple times she read at Fireside, it was during the pandemic. And we had Fireside virtually. You actually can go back and watch all of those on Fishtrap's YouTube channel. We have them all. We have a great library of readings to go back. But it's great to have in the flesh and in person, Talia Filipek is going to be here. Yeah. And our another reader that we have this month, we haven't had her on the stage since back when we were at the Fishtrap House back in 2018. It's been a while, so I can't wait to see what happened. Welcome, Matthias, please. Yeah. And our third scheduled reader is Randi Movich, but Randi got a hold of me this morning and said, I got off an airplane and I've got the flu. And so she decided not to give it to all of us, and so she's staying home. And And so our very own executive director, Shannon McNerney, is going to get up and share a few thoughts. So, yep. Along the way, when we have these readings, each reader will get about 10 minutes. In between, I'll give you folks kind of a look at some of the exciting programs and events that are coming up this season at Fishtrap. So I'm excited to share that with you. Before we get going, it's important to note that each month we have a sponsor for Fishtrap Fireside, which helps provide the food and all the things, and it's just a nice community way to contribute. This month's sponsor is our very own brew pub, Terminal Gravity, and you can sample their product in the back. But next time you're at the pub, just shout out and say, "Hey, thanks for sponsoring Fireside. That really meant a lot to us." You could tell them I said that. Afterwards, we'll have an intermission where you can fill your cup. There's some really good treats back there tonight. Even Catherine made something, I think, for us. As did Jennifer Hobbs, as always. And you can mingle with the crowd, get to know somebody you've never talked to before, catch up with people that you do. Afterwards, we'll all come back after about 10 minutes for the open mic. And the open mic is fun because it's short readings, 5 readers of up to 5 minutes. I see that we have 3 people signed up of the 5 spots. It's always fun and usually quite a surprise. One thing I do want to note for those of you who have signed up for the open mic, please remember when you're selecting your piece that this is a general all-age audience. If your piece contains some swears or some violent scenes, make sure you let the crowd know that it's coming and give folks a chance to opt out if they want. Okay? Cool? Deal? All right, let's get to the show. Our first reader is Talia. Talia Filipek mothers 2 little ones and delights in capturing the world and endearing characters through photographs and story. Her creative practice expands with a wild landscape at foot and a hearty pursuit for nuggets of love and bursts of absurdity. That's beautiful. This is really a nice part. With thanks to the Bryn Lundy Memorial Scholarship, she was fortunate to spend a previous summer with great authors and poet laureates at Summer Fishtrap, whom she inspired her to tend to this little writing flame. She's excited to say she's been writing more than ever. Fishtrap has given her space to share these inner workings with the world from her home on Hoof-Hearted Farm in Joseph. Welcome, Talia Filipek.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to be really close on time, so I'm going to skip the intro, but this is going to be 3 lighthearted tales to conjure up some holiday spirit. Lonnie Filipek's white knuckles grip the steering wheel of our family's 1986 Acura Legend as we drive through the vortex of the night's flurry, while my sister and I sit tense but mesmerized in the back seat as we drive down I-84. We were to arrive in Pendleton, Oregon, to the sweet smell of my grandparents' kitchen that eve, the night before Christmas Eve. Another vehicle spins out yards ahead, and my mom grips the front dash with one hand, the other hand rubbing my dad's shoulder in aggressively tender circles. My father, the invincible figure of steadfast persistence, he would make it through the blizzard, unless, of course, the highway closed, which it did that eve. 1 hour later, the furthest point we could make was Multnomah Lodge. That, by miracle, happened to be open. The gable charm of the climbing fieldstone as snow plumped on the roof and chimney was a warm welcome in what might be a dumpstered Christmas. One time I dined here next to George Sr. and Barbara Bush. Really nice folks. He ordered the Denver omelet, my dad says, and my mom fights back tears. We entered the gift shop of glass figurines and photographic magnets and waterfall postcards and shiver the dust off our jackets, my little sister mostly asleep in my dad's arms. I look up into the top shelf to see a row of beautiful wooden boxes. In the middle, one with a holographic unicorn painted on the front, reflecting the magic beaming from my heart. This Christmas, I was an 11-year-old girl. I was too old for unicorns, especially to peers, but I wanted to believe in them. I still wanted to believe in the spirit of Christmas. This longing pumped through my veins to stay young, to stay little. The world told me to set childhood down, but I didn't want to unclench yet. It stood at the window like a dearest friend, waving goodbye from a car packed to the brim as they moved away. I wanted to howl this into the snowstorm and cup the diamond dust in my mittens. I knew not to ask for it. It was almost Christmas, and my parents had scraped all their funds to get a stack of gifts, now frozen solid in the back of a lonesome car in a large, icy parking lot. My mother crouched next to me, a glow of warmth to join my resonating yearning. She reached up, brought it to the sleepy counter, and bought it for me. As we waited out the storm in the restaurant, I drank in the smell of the cedar box and the cocoa, the four of us, and the tall Christmas tree that peeked its head over the balcony fence, inviting me to be a kid with them for if only one more year. I closed my eyes. Often the memories I have of both my parents, I think of them reaching high, reaching up, stretching to grab the treasures from shelves and cupboards too tall for me to ever see. Second one is a corporate tale of Christmas presents. Feeling a little lost, I took a break from college during fall of my sophomore year to move through some uncertainty and live at home and take some community college classes and find some part-time work to still accelerate my path. Naturally, as a 19-year-old woman with a passion for forestry, outdoor rec, and new media aesthetics, I took the most fitting job to follow my arrow and build on my career. I accepted a mid-2000s retail fembot position at Victoria's Secret at the Washington Square Mall. The provocative colors of Drunk Tank Pink and Jessica Rabbit Rouge made my heart skip a beat, and popping tunes and disco reflections lured me into interview like a carp to a dough ball of glitter and sweet corn. Girls walked into the shop with braces and Jack Purcells and staggered out in Gucci heels and a glass of bubbly. It was my time to become a real woman, and it was my time to dazzle. Teresa, the sexy boss bitch, interviewed me on a little two-seater table between the Panda Express and the McDonald's. Our faces so close I could smell the carefree, sugar-free cigarette fusion on her breath. So, have you worked at the mall or corporate before? Yes, when I was 16, when they turned the old pet store into a GameStop. I specialized in the RPG section of the store, and due to my transcendent expertise, sold out every Dungeons & Dragons version 3.5 on its release day. My boss bought me lunch. That store smells really bad. Our store smells better. I know. You seem like a great fit for this position. Do you ever curl your hair? The bigger the hair, the closer to God, I replied. Do you own any camisoles? The dress code is a camisole under a tight-fitting business jacket and slacks. I didn't know what a camisole was, so she took me back to the retail store to pick out 3, lacy ones with skeletal straps. I paid full price for them, more than I'd ever make working there, and my dad picked me up out of the colossal automatic mall doors made for, oh my goodness. Hold on. Oh shoot, I messed up my pages. Sorry. Victoria's Secret newest lingerie selling queen. The wind picked up my hair and I'd start on Saturday from 12:30 to 9 p.m. close. When I arrived, Teresa equipped me with a headset and pulled my camisole down for just a little more boob crack. She teased my hair and twirled me like a frightened music box ballerina. Like Tanya hunching to receive her silver medal, I was royally draped with my official Cleve measuring tape, the crowning glory to inch me closer to a lawsuit. I watched a video on the show-stopping Leslie Wexner and a how-to on measuring yabos. I used my community college math to subtract the band measurement from the bust measurement to find the difference. We discovered that in all these years, I thought I was a B, and that Merry Christmas, I was unarguably, irrefutably an A. She tops me off with a fluffy Santa hat. Wow! The zest I felt as I hit that shiny flecked Taj Mahal floor. The fur, the lace, the endocrine disruptors, the fashion, the lights. My first assignment was to greet shoppers as they entered the store, smile, wink, and assault them with unsolicited spritzes of love spell. Over the hours, I learned to aim under the collarbones and above the navel to avoid the eyes, because, well, the burn, but that wasn't always guaranteed. I'm interrupted by a smooth static of Teresa's voice over the headset, who's been surveillancing the store and my every move from the back office over a sad salad lunch. "Talia, you're doing great, girlfriend." "Talk to me, Goose," I reply. Silence. There's a blonde in a green shirt who just walked, who looked like they'd really like to buy some credit today. 10-4, Big Ben. I move in like a sweaty, over-fragrant serpentina at sea, ready to strike my prey that will soon suffer their fate in the fine print. They look to be a newly minted 18, fresh meat. I pretend to layer G-strings in an orderly fashion, little slivers of triangle fabrics hugging themselves with their noodly threads, as if to whisper to you in the pitch dark, "I'm sorry for the places I'll interpose myself." I hover nearby for a bit, then deliver my folded stack next to a pile of lacy briefs. "How are you cuties doing today? Anything I can help you find?" I say cuties now. Do you have a size small in these?" My fingers crawl through the doors below. Every size but small. "I'm sorry, it looks like we're out of small at the moment, but could I interest you in getting half off your purchase today? All I need is a quick couple of things to sign you up for this amazing Victoria's Secret angel card." Green shirt shoots me a dirty look and pinches a G-string from the very center of my folds, Hiroshima-ing my perfect stack into a noodly mess. Teresa smacks her lip into the headset. "Don't give up, Talia. Let's keep pushing those perks and rewards." I measured a handful of bosoms when I answer the phone in a low, female but manly voice, asking if I have a very specific item in. A black ribbon-wrapped wand with a cluster of feathers on the end. Ooh, finally made my first sale via phone. This tickle stick. It had its very own shelf with a light shining on it, like the Venus de Milo. I set one aside with Trixie's name on it on a sticky note. 50 Shades of Yay for Talia. I worked at Victoria's Secret for 9 shifts over 3.5 weeks and heard 443 versions of Santa Baby. Henry Renee, Eartha Kitt at the Club, Madonna, Kylie Minogue, the Pussycat Dolls. Unfortunately, I did not climb the corporate ladder as Teresa had dreamt for me. But I did spend all my paycheck on my first and only negligee, so I could proudly say the word. And I bought every lady in my family underwear, 5 for $25 for Christmas, to open in front of all of our relatives due to my desensitization of the themes. I returned to college and went on to be a world champion forester. Okay, the final tale. This one's short. William Burton burst through the front door with rosy cheeks and a twinkling grin. "I brought a surprise for you. Here's a hint. It's your favorite." He tracks all the mud and drops a cooler on the counter. We open to a trove of king crab. Christmas dinner. The hot bubbling pot steams the windows, painted with the sloppy snowflakes of a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. Our bellies swell from the buttery goodness, and we all laugh at my favorite scene from Jingle All the Way with Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they knock the box over in the holiday parade while chasing Turbo Man. We hold hands and walk to church 4 blocks away. I haven't been there before. I'm surprised by all the people I know that go there. Familiar friends and neighbors trying not to giggle as they recreate a low-budget play about the birth of baby Jesus. They hand us a candle and a paper cup as we sing "Oh Holy Night," and John drips wax all over the pews. I hear Billy's voice, low voice in my ear against Aoife's sweet angel pipes in the sweetest and perfect harmony. We walk home, our bundled boots crunching over 3-day-old snow, making our way back to my little single mom house. A and J pass out in their striped jammies in anticipatory excitement, and Billy and I set up all the gifts, and I got too many. He built them a little workbench where they can build their own tiny wooden automobiles and hammer and nail through tiny pine cones, and I have an overwhelming feeling of wishing we got them just that. When the gifts are all in their place, he unwraps the book I gave him with some spicy photos of me 38 in my Victoria's Secret negligee. He gives me my first pair of earrings ever made for me by a sweetheart. This year we were his window looking into family laughter and a mess of wrapping paper and sugar meltdowns, while he sat next to me under the lights of the Christmas tree, giggling and stuffing 3 stockings for Aoife, John, and Pete the dog. Thank you. I have too many papers.
Thanks, Talia. That was kind of a nice way to kind of start the holiday season, wasn't it? I thought so. Hey, here are a few things for your calendar. Like I said, Fishtrap has a bunch. We've been working on events coming up this season, and I want to tell you about a couple of them. Hold on. In January is Fishtrap Reads returns with the goal to inspire everyone to read a great book together as a community. I think this is the 20th year of that Fishtrap has done a Fishtrap Reads or NEA Big Read. This year we didn't get any NEA funding or wouldn't accept it, and so we're kind of doing this on our own. So it's going to get we're doing the best job we can, and hopefully the community will join in and join us. The book this year is called The Bear by Andrew Kribik. It's a fable about a girl who finds herself alone in the wilderness and is befriended by a bear. It's a really kind of a beautiful book that includes things like constellations and ancient skills and I love that the protagonist is a 12-year-old girl. It's one of my favorite parts about the book. So we'll be doing events throughout January for 3 weeks in January, concluding with we got the author Andrew Krivik to come here and do the keynote address on the 29th of January. So keep that in mind. What's next? Oh yeah, next year you've probably all heard about this. The United States of America celebrates the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, right? We know that things are going on the federal level, state level. Well, Fishtrap decided, gosh darn, we're going to do something right here. We'll acknowledge that spirit of '76 through both our winter Fishtrap and summer Fishtrap programs. Our theme is Our American Story, because we all have an American story that's unique, right? And we want you to be able to share those with each other in different kinds of ways. So keep your eye out for that. Winter Fishtrap February, Summer Fishtrap June. Speaking of Summer Fishtrap, right now Fishtrap is accepting applications for Summer Fishtrap scholarships and fellowships. Talia mentioned that she received a scholarship a couple years ago and was able to attend Summer Fishtrap thanks to the Bryn Lundy Memorial Scholarship. We have a handful of scholarships and fellowships, and so if you know somebody who loves to write, that can be you, and would bloom with the Summer Fishtrap experience, encourage them to apply for a scholarship or fellowship. You can learn more at fishtrap.org. Okay, let's get to our second reader. Neither Shannon nor I kind of like last-minute things or surprises, but when I got the email from Randi Movich, I hope you're doing well, Randi. Get well soon. We'll have you back. I thought I wrote like this one sentence email to Shannon at like 7:05 this morning or something like that. And I said, might you be interested in doing something? And Shannon said, yeah, I will. So please give a lot of encouragement to Fishtrap's Executive Director, Shannon McNerney.
Shannon, do we get to time you?
No. I have keys. Hi. Before I get started, thank you for those of you that brought food in for our food bank, our community food bank. I am grateful. I'm also grateful that some heat came off of that today and things are looking a little bit brighter, but we will be taking that in to Community Connections probably Tuesday of next week. So if you want to stop by during office hours Monday and drop something off, you're welcome to do that too. Yeah, okay, then I won't be dropping it off Tuesday. Thank you. So I'm going to read a little bit about community. As Mike mentioned, since I'm stepping in at the last minute, I didn't really have time to write something fancy or terribly clever. So instead, I thought I'd talk about stories. That word story has been showing up everywhere in my world lately, at work and at home and in my little blue truck, in long conversations. I'm a bit preoccupied with it. The word itself, the meaning, the desire to define it, capture it, listen to it, set it free, see if it can show me something new or just let me escape for a while. So for example, early this morning, it's a little kismet, I'm going to remember that word, I was listening to an interview with Ken Burns, the documentarian. He was talking about his new documentary about the American Revolution. At one point, he was describing the film's approach to British loyalists and the complex lives of the founding fathers when he said, and I'm going to paraphrase here, there are no sides really, no good guys or bad guys. Everyone's story is our story. My eyebrows got caught in my bangs. We landed on something very similar for next year's summer fish trap and winter fish trap theme. It even had its roots in the same time period. It may be kismetical. I made that word up. But you know what it meant, didn't you? So here's what I wrote to help describe the vision or the story behind this theme. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Just to be clear, I did not write that sentence. In 2026, the United States of America will recognize the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. For many, it is a celebration of a time when people first identified themselves as American. For others, it is aspirational, representing freedom and possibility. And for some, it represents loss, exclusion, and violence. Our individual roots and lived experiences as Americans are as diverse and complex as the landscapes and communities that make up this place. In 2026, Winter Fish Trap and the Summer Fish Trap Gathering will provide opportunities for each of us to explore our individual histories and understandings of what it means to be American, while listening to and learning from the experiences of others. Together, we'll begin to uncover our rich, inclusive, collective American story. Everyone's story is our story. So what stories are you telling? What stories are you listening to? How are you listening? Little teaser, that last part came from a meeting we had this week with two of our folks that are going to come help us do this. You might have heard of them. Our last two writers in residence, Eric Brayman and Jason Graham, are coming back to help us with this program this year. So what's the story we're creating together? Here's what I think. I think stories create, support, and sustain community. The stories we tell and listen to about this place, Fishtrap, Wallowa County, Oregon, the West, our country, changes the way we see and believe in them. I talked about that a little bit at Summer Fish Trap last July, and I'd like to share a little of that opening with you. It contains the story I tell about this place and the way I see the community we've spoken into being. Some context, our theme for that Summer Fish Trap gathering was home. For 38 summers, people who think the words we speak, ideas we share, and stories we tell in and about the West matter have gathered in this place to be inspired and to learn. It is a privilege not to be taken lightly to be able to do it here in the homeland and gathering place of the Nimiipuu, the Umatilla, the Cayuse, and the Walla Walla. For thousands of years, countless stories have sprung from the voices of the people who lived and loved and died on these lands. Your words are about to be added to that chorus. Honor that. My hope for you, for all of you, writer and listener, is that you find new ways to challenge and express yourself, knowing that you have the full support of this special community. We welcome you to this, your creative home, and we hope that you take a little bit of it with you to your actual home when you leave. Home was always going to be an expansive theme. It literally means something different for each and everyone. I did my own little internal biological non-AI search, also not as known as a writing prompt, on home is, and came up with home is an anchor, an aspiration, a refuge, a place, a state of mind, a building, illusory, a place to run to or away from, a right, a privilege, temporary, where I'm from, where my family is from, where I want to be, a person, a calling, a passion, wherever people are kind, a reflection of my inner state, a dream or a nightmare, a place to hide from the world and reconnect at the same time, childhood, a place I create, a place I cling to, something I can lose, something I carry inside me, where I feel most myself. Home is a place of connection, of community, a place where people see me for who I am, some place where I am safe to fail and inspired to do better, where I heal, where I grow. Thanks to Fishtrap, I currently call Joseph home. Before moving here, I had 32 addresses, lived in 6 states, and attended 12 schools. No, I don't come from a military family, just a curious one. Now I have a giant house with a giant maple tree in the front yard, a big backyard, too many cats, just the right number of dogs. Most of all, I have family by all its definition here, my home. It's impossible for me to talk about home without acknowledging that it has become dramatically more complicated in the last several months. Who has the right to live in a place and call it home? What makes a home safe? Is it fenceless or surrounded by barbed wire? Is it a diverse, inclusive community or one defined by its homogeneity and real estate values? Do all of its residents have a right to good food, healthcare, and education? Every person here tonight has a recent or deep generational family connection to the question of who gets to call a place home. None of us are where our long ago ancestors thought we would be. The history of the colonization of this place, these rivers and lakes and mountains, has a lot to say to us about the consequences of thoughtlessness, cruelty, and greed. Franklin Roosevelt once said that people are entitled to freedom of speech and of worship, freedom from want and from fear. His ideals didn't apply to everyone then. Is it too idealistic to hope that they could be one day? Our world needs you to think clearly and write about what you're seeing and feeling right now. It needs you to share your stories, your experiences, your hopes, your fears, and your aspirations. We need you to capture all your thoughts of home, of this place, and I mean all of them. The tragic, the terrifying, and the heartbreaking, and maybe even more. The funny, the hopeful, and the triumphant. Your stories are needed to encourage, educate, enlighten, and inspire people now, maybe more than ever before, and they will be an important record of what you've witnessed and what you know to be true for generations to come. In other words, if everyone's story is our story, what's the story we're creating together? Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Hey, I know that some of you out there, maybe all of you in some little way, have thought at some time in your life, talking about stories, gosh, one day I'll write that book. One day I'll write my that fiction, that novel or my memoir or what have you, and but you don't know where to start. It's hard, or how to keep going. Maybe you could use a mentor. Well, this might be the time to give yourself the gift of a year to devote to your writing. Fishtrap's year-long writers workshop is now accepting applications, and our instructor this year is Laura Pritchett, who is among my favorite writers, mentors, teachers, and writing coaches that there are. You should check it out. What's cool is it starts at Summer Fishtrap, and then it's distance learning for the year, and then it concludes at the next Summer Fishtrap. The goal is to complete a manuscript by the end of the year. So I would check that out if it's at all interesting to you, and then we get to see you 2 years in a row at Summer Fishtrap. Okay, our final reader, Catherine Matthias. Catherine was an outdoor child, biking, swimming, endless nights of tag, hide and seek, and touch football. At night, she read books. Snuggled in bed, the light on past midnight, telling herself just one more chapter. She is the author of 6 early reader picture books published in English and Espanol by Children's Press. Her nonfiction adult book, The Word Gobblers, a handbook for parents working with children struggling to read, was published by Square One Publishers in 2001. And Catherine has a new book. Oh, I got the beep from the thing. When the Sky Turned to Dust. I think it just came out a few months ago, right? It's a middle grade historical fiction novel which follows the Dolan family during 2 of the greatest disasters in American history, the Great Depression and, of course, the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. Catherine lives in rural Joseph with her husband Stuart Jones and is currently working with local artist and illustrator Joan Gilbert on a picture book about a mischievous cat. Please welcome Catherine Matthias.
Thank you, sir.
just want Shannon to know it doesn't get any less nerve-wracking, even though you know days ahead or months that you're going to do this. Well, because I'm going to start with chapter 4, reading 3 small sections from chapter 4 and then a section from another chapter and a section from another chapter, I need to tell you, you've already learned this is going to be back in 1934. And for those who, I don't know how young anybody is in here, but the stock market crash was November of 1929. The drought for the Midwest began in, I'm sorry, those lights are really hard for me. The drought began in the Midwest in 1930, and by 2 years later, the dust was whipping up. Yeah, that would be great, thanks. I had a concussion back in 2018, so bright lights. Don't ask me how, I was dancing and tripped. The Dust Bowl, for anybody who doesn't know, didn't just happen in Kansas, although that's where my story is. It started in Mexico and went up to Canada and all the way from Montana to Missouri. But the very worst section of that was right where Colorado, the panhandle of Oklahoma, the little portion of Kansas and New Mexico meet. That was a disaster area. Land turned to cement. So in chapter 4, which is called Chicken Pot Pie and Centipedes, which will not be explained in the section I'm going to read to you, you have to read the book to find out. But it starts because the baby in the family, her name is Nell, she is suffering from all the dust. Thousands and thousands of people died from dust pneumonia back then. And the family decides she has to leave. Well, a year ago, they'd already sent away the twins. So this is a real trauma, and it's a particular trauma to Caroline, who's 12, and Daniel, who's 9, that they're losing more siblings. They're going to New York. They're going to live with an aunt and uncle that are fairly well off. He's a lawyer. And the mother is leaving. She wants them to go. They do not want to go. So they convince her, just let us go for a short trip and let us come back. They want to be with Dad, and they want to save the farm. Ultimately, this is about resilience, family, situations that can kill you, but how we persevere and how community sticks together. So chapter 4, what happens is they're coming downstairs, they're getting ready to leave. Caroline and her mom are at the table, and Dad comes in from milking. "Butter's done," Papa said, sitting at the table. He turned to me. "You're up early." I smelled food. "Can't think of a better reason," he said. He rubbed his hands against the cold morning. "Clouds are bunching up in the north. Might be a chance of rain." "Are you okay in the back?" "Okay, thanks." "Might be a chance of rain." Mama set a bowl of dumplings and a cup of coffee on the table for him. "There's always a chance," she said, squeezing his shoulder. I grabbed my coat and went out on the porch. A few stars still shimmered in the west. The sun hung below the horizon, its light glowing along the Earth's eastern edge and giving Papa's clouds a pink tinge. As I looked for signs of rain, I thought of Grandpa's postcard of a boy riding in a cart pulled by a donkey. The boy dangles a carrot from a long pole in front of the donkey's face. The donkey could never reach it, but you knew he'd keep walking and walking and hoping to get that carrot. Daniel joined me on the porch. "What are you doing out here?" I looked north toward the bunching clouds, hoping and hoping. For rain? Yes, and for Papa. By the time we finished our morning chores and washed and dressed for traveling, there wasn't a wisp of a cloud left. Papa, Daniel, and I packed the car with food baskets and milk jugs, while Mama stood beside it, holding a sleeping Nell. "Let's get the suitcases," Papa said. Daniel and I followed him into the house. When we returned, Mama was no longer standing by the car. Papa looked toward the small fenced graveyard on the rise to the east, its pear tree and rose bushes bare and sharp. Mama and Nell formed a silhouette against the morning sky. She often visited Robbie's grave. Now she was leaving and didn't know when she'd be back. This morning I promised Mama I would take care of the roses and the pear tree. Should we go to her, I asked. No, give her a moment. You and Daniel climb in. The grave headstone was silver. The carved headstone was simple. Robert Sean Dolan, November 23, 1927 to May 20th, 1928. I was 5 and Daniel 2 when Robbie was born. He was a sweet, easy baby. He died from a high fever and the cough they call whooping because of the sound made by those who struggle to breathe. I can still recall that terrible sound. Yeah, mine doesn't bring laughs like Talia's did. Reprobates, Rapscallions, and Dust is the next title, and you'll get a little bit of an idea of why. And Caroline and Daniel have traveled to New York, and they've come back, and their papa picks them up in Wichita from a train ride. And there weren't planes taking people back and forth. There aren't any now either. So he picks them up, and they come home right when a huge storm has hit. And it is now, because Mama is not there, they used to help their papa out in the barn, but it's now their turn to clean the house, so at least they don't have to sleep on grit. And Daniel asks her, what do we do first? And part of what I'm reading this part is I want you to see what their relationship is with the 2 young siblings. Mama would start upstairs with the curtains. That way we won't worry about the dust that drifts down. I handed Daniel a laundry basket. Shall I bring in the sheets, he asked. Not yet, the basket's for the curtains. We'll leave the sheets on the line until we're done. They'll stay cleaner that way. There's more logistics to this than I knew, Daniel said. Logistics, I asked, filling a bucket with soapy water, grabbing several rags. The details of coordinating a complex operation. I smiled. You've been reading the dictionary again. Uncle George has a new one in his library. It's this thick, he said, setting down his basket and holding his hands about 6 inches apart. We headed upstairs with Daniel, explaining how he flipped to random pages each night before bed and picked 2 new words to learn. His favorite was bombastic. He explained it meant high-sounding, but with little meaning, like pompous or blustering. It's like a storm of words, but they don't mean anything. Isn't that grand? Sounds like Jackson, the king of marbles, I said. By the way, do you know what reprobate means? No, but we can look it up in Mama's dictionary. And then there's deleted text, and we move on to time passed, with Daniel telling me about his other favorite new words. He said cacophony was an uproar, a clamor, or a racket. He liked that it sounded like what it meant, and that it would take a lot of something to make a cacophony, like not 1 monkey, but 20. He was delighted with the word tantamount could replace 4 words because it meant virtually the same thing. He laughed when I told him his finding tantamount was tantamount to his finding treasure. Over the next 2 hours, Daniel made several trips to the kitchen for clean water. After washing the floors, we repeated the process in Papa's downstairs bedroom. By the time we finished, the sun was setting, so we trimmed the wicks and lit the oil lamps in the kitchen. We shook the blankets, beat the dust from the pillows, and took the sheets from the line. While we made the beds, I asked Daniel why he liked numbers and words. To me, they were different worlds that excluded each other. He said the differences were intriguing, another one of his new words. Numbers stayed put. 2 would always be 2. If you added it to 6, it would always be 8. But words jumped around. One could replace another with hardly any effect. Or it could mean something slightly different, and the difference could be significant. The more words he knew, the clearer he could be. Eventually, he could use words to approach the clarity of numbers. When we finished the bedrooms, I put a pot of milk on the stove and set out 4 cups. while I sliced a loaf of bread and set it on the table with butter and a jar of plum jam. I visualized words careening into each other, setting off sparks of light and sorting themselves in some part of Daniel's brain. I didn't always know what he was talking about, but to use one of his new words, I was intrigued by how his mind worked. And the next chapter, and this part's very short, is called Fiddles and Telegrams. And telegrams because Michael Dolan, the father's sister, writes to him, her husband has died. They live in that little corner of northeast Colorado that's really been hit hard, and she would like him to come get her and her 2 kids and bring them back to his place. So they're driving from where they live, if you know what the map of Kansas looks like. The first third wasn't hit so hard. They're in that middle section of Kansas that also wasn't hit quite as hard as the western section. And this is what Carolyn sees as they're driving farther west. As we drove farther west, the sun climbed higher, and the air coming through the open windows grew hotter. The dried carcasses of tumbleweeds bunched along fence lines, catching the blowing dust and causing drifts so high the posts disappeared. Daniel was right. This was worse than home. Machinery, partly devoured by sand dunes, sat in fields, idled and decaying. The empty husks of houses, their paint and woodwork scoured clean by wind-driven sand, sat abandoned, buried in drifts to their eaves. Fields where cattle once grazed were empty and littered with their corpses. Those with a sort of foresight must have sold their stock or butchered them and preserved the meat. Those with hope must have hung on, watching the slow withering of flesh from bone. Mile after mile, the few trees that once dotted the land were stripped bare, their branches reaching like the rib bones of the dead cattle toward a sky that held no promises. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you to all of you for coming out on this night. I hope you stick around. We're going to take about a 10-minute intermission. There's plenty of food and drink over here, and then we'll come back for the open mic. Any questions? Great. We'll take a break.